Um, Hi everybody. Welcome to Feelings with the Geekiary. I'm Jamie alongside Fareed as usual. This is our special Pride webcast. It's Pride Month. Yay!
Yay!
We're fans, we have feelings, and this is where we webcast about them.
hmm Okay, so a reminder you can join the conversation with the hashtag Geekiary Feelings. I mean, come on, how will we know that we are wrong if you don't tell us?
We're
But
not
then
wrong.
again, we are never wrong.
Never
We are
wrong.
never wrong. Also, we would like to remind all of you that the views expressed on this webcast are those of the host as individuals, and they do not necessarily represent the Geekery or the webcast itself as a whole. So if you have something to say, come at us individually on Twitter. Don't be tagging the website. Yeah.
Please don't. Although I would have to see it anyway.
Right?
So, but please don't tag the Geekiary.
Yeah.
Okay. So some news updates. Don't forget about our Patreon. And make sure you check out the rest of our YouTube channel with some great content, mostly provided by Fareed.
Mwah. A lot of
Um,
queer stuff if you guys are into drag race. Come on over. Come on over.
and also make sure you check out the Geeky Aries news section where we try to give you guys like exciting things that happen. We're not always on the ball with that, but we try.
Right. And also it's like there are a lot of sites out there who cover the same thing, and it's like if you click on the articles, it's like the same thing over and over again. However, when we share some news, we try to bring in our own perspective, our own opinions. We don't just necessarily copy paste the press release. So that's why if we have something to talk about in the news section, go read it because we will be sharing our own opinions on
Although to be fair, there has been times where I've been like, I haven't written an article in like a week. I should probably get something up.
it. Hey, that works too.
But I still like I got so many press releases and I was like, I try
Oh,
to find something I think I would have an
mm-hmm.
opinion about rather
Yeah.
than just like regurgitating
Again, it's
whatever.
about feelings. Geekiary. It's
Yeah.
all about sharing feelings. Yeah. So that's why when it comes to the news channel, I ended up writing. Recently, I talked about the new Little Mermaid Ariel animated show coming up, and I'm so excited about it because, okay, let's be real. It's a fact. The live action movie is not performing well at the box office. However, you try and cut it, it's like if it ends up making around 500 million globally, that's respectable. Still not good, but it's respectable. And also, of course, I have a feeling that this movie is gonna blow up when it comes to streaming, like Moana and Encanto. Like Moana is like still in the top 10 streaming lists when it comes to what people are watching over on Disney Plus. So hopefully, yeah, and it came out years ago. So hopefully the Little Mermaid also sees that. And yeah, and the fact that it's actually getting an animated show, it's like it gives me hope that one day we might end up getting a sequel. Who knows? Because even though it didn't make a lot of box office numbers globally, it is doing quite well in the US. And you know
Also, it's
Disney,
Disney. They're gonna give it a sequel.
right? And because it's Disney, and Disney loves IPs that help sell merch. And Halle Berry's Ariel is helping sell merch
Mm-hmm.
because her doll, the Ariel Little Mermaid doll, it's like one of the best-selling dolls on Amazon. And of course, you know that the mouse is like, yeah, counting all the coins. So hopefully, with the animated show coming up and everything, like hopefully we will get a sequel or something. Because The Princess and the Frog did well over on streaming, so that's getting an animated show. Moana is getting a live action movie that no one wants, but it's still getting one because The Rock has to do something. So yeah,
Please stop with
hopefully.
the unnecessary live action. You
Right?
know what I would really love? The reverse. Take a live action movie and animate
Any
it. That
animated.
would be
Yeah.
like they never do that.
hmm
And they really should because there are some things that would just work better animated.
hmm
Something that's like really heavy CGI when you can tell it's like not good. Like just make it a cartoon.
Oh no. Not the animated High School Musical series. Jamie, what did you do? Oh no, animated Hannah Montana. Oh no.
I don't think I have any additional news. There is today was Netflix's Tudum, or however Tudum, I don't, whatever.
I wanna say Padam, but that's Kylie Minogue.
um, but yeah, so there's been some stuff coming out.
Mhm.
There's they released the first scene from the season 2 Heartstopper premiere.
Mhm.
They released the trailer for the live action One Piece. There was some Bridgerton news, some Stranger Things news. No Old Guard 2 news, which I
Like
think we have to
what the
riot. I mean,
like like it's Pride Month and no, and you have already shot the movie.
yeah,
Where's the promo? Where's the first look? I don't know what Netflix is doing. It seems to be sitting on certain films. It's sitting on the Old Guard 2. It's still sitting on the Mothership starring Halle Berry for some reason. And every time it talks about movies, it's all about extraction, extraction, extraction. I'm like, where's Old Guard 2?
yeah.
Where the queers at?
Where, I mean,
Netflix
even a poster. Where is a poster? Like something. We haven't gotten anything since like,
last year,
yeah, November. I think
right?
they did a little video, and like the cast did a
The
video, and like
backstage thing, yeah.
yeah,
That was it. I'm like, the Old Guard 2, release it. It would have been so amazing if they released it during Pride Month.
seriously.
Like, just do that.
Surprise drop. Have it
Surprise
come out
drop.
next week.
Right?
I will.
Yeah.
I like no. I like. Yeah.
But no, but you know what? Who keeps on getting a sequel? Extraction. Extraction 3 is happening for the straight people, which I don't get.
I don't get it.
But yeah, the Heartstopper scene was nice. It was nice. It's just nice. It's just a nice show. It was
It's
nice.
cute.
Yeah.
I was like, I like that. I am getting to the point. Like my friends will be like, "Oh, have you seen Yellow Jackets? Have you seen this?" And I'm like,
Ugh.
"No, I want to watch people being happy." So I'm like,
That's the thing happening with me when it comes to Yellow
Heartstopper.
Jackets, because they're like, watch Yellow Jackets because it has queer characters in it, and I'm like, I appreciated having queer characters, but I can sit through all of that drama and anxiety. No.
Well, especially now that it was like now that more and more properties are starting to be more inclusive and have queer characters, I was like, I can choose. Like, I don't have to support something anymore just because it's got gay
It's
people
a,
in it. I'm
yeah.
like, if I don't want it, because I was like, if you know me in person, Yellow Jackets, not a Jamie kind of show. So I wouldn't have watched it anyway. But I'm like, I'm still not going to watch it. I tried watching Succession and I made it like 3 episodes. And I was
Yeah.
like, these people are terrible. And I know they're supposed to be terrible, but I don't want to watch terrible people. I want to
No.
watch not terrible. Well, that, I mean, I'm sorry, that's not true. I can watch terrible people, but it has to be like I think maybe because I work in media, and I was
Yeah.
like, Succession was just like, you know what? No, I'm good.
No. But yeah, the Heartstopper scene came out. Red, white, blue, whatever,
Red, white, and royal blue.
whatever that weird movie is. Like
I'm excited. You can shut up.
I don't trust the actors. They aren't the best actors. So
I know.
I'm like,
I don't really have expectations for it, but I really like the book, so I hope that it's at
right?
least watchable.
Yeah, it's
If
not
it's
like
watchable,
yeah, they released like stills from the upcoming movie, so that was exciting. But again, the actors, I'm like, when it comes to Heartstoppers, even though they're young, they are very good actors.
yes.
But when it comes to red, white, blue, blah, blah, blue, they're older, and I'm like, I've seen you in other stuff, and no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the characters are like they're supposed to be in their 20s, early 20s, but yeah, like
But the act-
sometimes there's like you're an old looking 20.
yeah, I'm like, also, ooh, you're getting eaten up by the younger cast, so where are your skills, acting skills? But yeah, of course, it's supposed to be quite hot and heavy because the book is quite hot and heavy.
It's rated
So,
R, so it's gonna have something in it.
right? Fake fake thing. I don't know. Like HBO. But yeah, Good Omens season 2 is coming out too this year,
Mhm.
finally. So
Coming out soon. That was why this is a good segue into our discussion, which of
mhm,
course is pride themed. Yay. Um because that was my first discussion point, was that there's so many like queer shows coming out that I'm excited about. Because Good Omens comes out July 28th,
mhm.
and then Heartstopper comes out August 3rd. Red, White, and Royal Blue comes out August 11th. There's something else coming out. Dante and Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe, I think is the full title,
Mhm.
which is a book that I have not read, but I own. Because, of course, I have so many books I
Of
own that I haven't
course,
read.
of course.
But like, this is basically like the summer of gay. I'm very excited.
So Good Omens is like what, a weekly drop,
I don't know. Season one dropped all at once,
right?
but
Yeah,
Amazon lately has been doing weekly drops.
weekly. It's like either one episode a week or at least 2 episodes a week, but it is a weekly thing. Yeah.
Hmm. Don't
Hmm.
know.
No, no. Gotta tweet Neil. Ask him.
He'll just go wait and see. That's how he
Right?
answers everything.
He's like, I don't know. Why are you asking me?
Well,
Ask him.
I mean, he might not. Like, he's not in charge of like how it
Right?
when it comes
He,
out.
he, he
So
might not know. And another movie that I'm looking forward to, it's like Nimona. Did you watch the trailer for it?
I haven't.
The animated movie that's coming out,
Oh.
which has like a queer knight thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, queer knight. So it's basically like Nimona is like a shapeshifter who's shunned from society. So she considers herself a villain and she wants to be a villain's sidekick. So one of the villains she like reaches out to is a good guy who ended up being considered a villain because people think that he killed the king. So
Hmm.
he has to run away. So Simona is like, yeah, he's a villain. I'm going to be his sidekick. And the person who's tracking them down is one of the like knight generals who is like the villain guy's romantic interest. They were like friends to lovers to enemies and now lovers again. So there's that happening. So yeah, Netflix is giving us queer nights
Cool.
this month.
That sounds cool.
Hmm.
Oh, and the Dragon Prince is coming out soon too. I forgot.
Oh yeah,
There's
a
a
lot of. But where's Orgard 2?
yeah.
The thing that we actually want. Where's Orgard 2? Think about the older target audience, Netflix.
Like where are they?
Where's Charlize Theron?
Where are my 1,000-year-old gay men? Where are they?
Gay immortal men, yeah. But seriously, where it's like I don't know. I don't know. Also
Do
talking
we think it's gonna take? Do we think it's gonna follow the second book?
yeah, it's supposed to because I was on Reddit and they ended up sharing certain spoilers from the test screenings. So it does follow the second book, but it also adds something from the third book in it too.
Oh,
And
interesting.
apparently, take it with a grain of salt, apparently the ending demands a part 3
Well,
because
I
it's
feel like it would have to, because in the in the comics,
yeah,
Andy's not. Andy's still immortal, and in the movie, she's lost her
her
immortality. So
immortality, yeah.
it's got to be different,
So they
just based on
are
that.
yeah, the cliffhanger thing. They need a part 3 for it to actually make sense. And also apparently in the second movie they're gonna explain how immortality works, which I'm like, even the book didn't explain it. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
some things it's just like one of those where it was like sometimes people are immortal. Here's the
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Like, you
that's
don't need
it.
to explain everything.
I don't need an explanation. Okay, these queers are immortal. Okay, good for them. No one cares.
They literally can't do bury your gays. I love it.
Right? They could bury them, but they won't die.
They won't die. That's true.
They're still in there.
They are. I read that pic.
So yeah, again, Old Guard 2. I like okay, I Heartstopper 2, okay. Red, blue, green, white, black, whatever, okay. Nimona, okay, but I really want Old Guard 2. That's what I really want. Like, give it
That
to
was
me.
yeah. When I finally watched the movie, I like went out like not the next day because I don't leave my apartment, but like I went out very soon after that and like immediately bought the comics.
Yeah, you tweeted about it. I think
Yeah.
it was they were on sale or something
Yes,
too.
there was
Yeah.
an Image Comics
hmm hmm
sale at Barnes and Noble, and I even managed to track down the Tales Through Time, which is the anthology.
Yeah, the spin-off thingy. Yeah. But it's basically like a three book story, and hopefully we will get 3 movies. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Well, we'll just have to all sit there and watch the movie repeatedly, which
do that.
I have done. Like you, not me, sitting there. So I mean, I actually did like no when I saw the Old Guard, I was like, why did I not watch this before? Like, what the hell was wrong with me? And then I probably watched it every day for like 3 weeks. So
You got us that sequel, Jamie.
yes.
You got us that sequel.
I mean, it was already filmed by the time I saw the first one, so it wasn't me. But I also tried to do that. Shadow and Bone season 2.
Oh.
Introduced Wylan, who is my favorite character from the Six of Crows books. Wylan is gay, and then he and Jesper, who is bisexual, end up in a relationship, and they're like the cutest freaking. I love them so much, and so like that finally being introduced, and they ended. I mentioned this in my review, but they like ended the trilogy, like the Alina's story. They ended that because they put the second 2 books in the one season. And season 1 was book 1, and season 2 was books 2 and 3, which I thought
2
was
and 3, yeah.
stupid. But I don't do the TV show. And so then they were hinting that they also had hopes to be able to get a spin-off for the Crows, and do the plot from the Six of Crows books. So doing my part literally every day for like a very long time. Well, on the days that I worked from home, because it's 8 episodes, so it's an 8-hour season. And I was just like, I'd start work and I'd start the first episode, and by the time the season was over, I was done with my shift. And I'm like, all right. Yeah. I just like I wasn't watching it. I just like had it on for the views. But I'm like, but we still haven't heard anything.
Oh, it's not. I have a feeling it's not gonna happen.
I know. I don't think it is either. But
yeah, it's like because the hype in season 2 was like so low compared to season 1. I'm not really sure if they took too long to release it, or if there was I think it was way too much happening in season 2. It was like too much. Too many characters, too much. Like there were already too many characters for me in season 1, and then season 2 introduced more characters, and I'm like, I can't remember all their names.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the reason that I think if they had, I know they introduced the Crows in season 1 to sort of like flesh out, because otherwise I feel like season 1 would have been
boring,
slow.
Yeah.
But the problem is that when they had 2 books and the Crows, which was an entirely new plot line, although parts of the Crows story was from their books, which pissed me off. But what are you gonna do? And it also like, I mean, I'm gonna talk about them because they're gay, so it counts. Wylan and Jesper, like their relationship is totally different in the show than it is in the books. For starters, they're younger in the books. I mean, they're like 17. So in the show, they're clearly meant to be older. And like in the books, they meet first and like have a like flirty kind of banter, well, at least on Jesper's part, because Jesper flirts with everybody. But Wylan's very closed off, and you find out why later. But all this kind of stuff. And then they get together at like near the end of book 2. So like the whole, but in the show, when we first meet Wylan, he's already slept with Jesper. Like they've already hooked up. And Jesper didn't remember him at first. And so it completely changes their entire
That was so
dynamic.
weird. That was so weird. I didn't like that. I was like, Jasper was like, I didn't remember you. I'm like, was it that bad?
I'm like, his excuse was he was like, it was dark. And I'm like,
what?
Okay, Jesper. Okay. It was like, it was dark, and Wylan didn't stay. So,
but still. He
But
didn't
it's
just
like,
he didn't just pop up from nowhere, right? They must have known each other. They must have talked to each other before hooking up.
well, in the so the way they meet in the books is Kaz, like Wyland's working at the tannery, and Kaz sends Jesper with a note for Wyland because to get as a depth for to give him the job. And so like that could potentially be how they met this time. Like it could have been the same thing. Um that they don't say. But I mean they did mention that like Wyland worked at the tannery and that sort of prompted Jesper to remember because he was like, "Oh wait, the tannery." Like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like this dynamic between certain couples when like one of them remembers and the other one doesn't. It's like if both of them don't remember, okay, but it's like, oh, I remember you, but I don't remember you, and I'm like, then walk away.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
not
like it was a
worth it.
lot. They were a lot sweet. I mean, I still love them so much. Like I don't care. They're adorable. Jack Wolf is like I just
Like not remembering
want to knit him a sweater.
someone's name, I understand. But not remembering that you've slept with someone, I'll be like,
Yeah.
bye.
I mean, yeah, I think it's supposed to be like that's the kind of person Jesper is. He's
But
just
he's
like
not. But he's not. It's as if they're like trying to make it feel like this like Jasper sleeps around, but he doesn't.
I mean, not in that we've seen him, but I think it's implied that he is kind of like that in
But
season
still,
one.
he literally like slept with one guy in season one. That
Well, I
stable
know, but
guy.
they were kind of busy. I mean, like, they were trying not to die. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's always one of those people when it's like I'm always. So this is funny. There's this movie like. I don't want to call it old because it's from the '90s, but that is old at this
It is
point.
old. It's a classic
Um,
now.
it's Broken Arrow. This is not gay at all, but we're like, Broken Arrow with Christian Slater and John Travolta, and um, John Travolta, and they're co-pilots.
Mm-hmm.
They fly a stealth bomber for
Oh, and they were roommates. Got it.
no. And then John Travolta is stealing the nuclear weapons on the ship, and Christian Slater's trying to stop him.
Mm-hmm.
And Christian Slater ends up meeting. They crash. He ends up in a national park. All this kind of stuff. And anyway, he meets a park ranger, and the park ranger helps him out, and blah blah blah. And they don't even get each other's name until the end of the movie, which I think is hilarious. Because it's like they're kind of worried about like nuclear weapons going off, so there's it's not important. But that's just like every time I'm watching a show and like something like that happens, I'm like you're running for your life, maybe hold off on that. Not important.
But yeah, names, not remembering names, I get it. But not remembering that you were with someone, it's like it was weird. It was weird, especially because Wyland remembered him and wanted to be with him, and I'm like, oh baby, no.
Yeah, I do feel like I still like their dynamic in season two, but I do think, and I mean probably because it was like they were younger in the books. It was much sweeter, and that's that's what I like.
So that was Shadow and Bone, which wasn't in the discussion points, but of
no,
course
but it's you and me. We're yeah. It was still like they're queer. It's related. Like it wasn't.
It has queer characters in it. Yeah.
It actually like just a little bit more because it introduced Wyland, who's gay, and then it introduced Tamar, who's also gay. Mm-hmm. So the season ended with two canonical.
But I didn't
couples.
get my queer husbands. I'm like, where the heck are they? Are they alive? Are they dead?
They had scheduling issues. Like they were supposed to come. Like they were
they're
supposed
alive.
to be in season 2, and then they were supposed to have a whole thing in season 2, but the actors couldn't make it fit in their schedule, and
what the heck are those actors busy with?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're American. They might be doing stuff in their home country.
Okay.
But because I know the actor that plays Fedor had talked about it on his Instagram. And allegedly the idea, like they couldn't make it work for season 2, but if there was a season 3, they were gonna put that in season 3.
Because I
So
need
they
them
are.
back.
They
Yeah.
apparently did. Like, well, I know Fedor was alive, but I was like, Ivan apparently did survive too. So like,
Of course he did.
he does in the books, but yeah,
Right? But not for long.
no, he doesn't. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't read the books. But
But yeah, Shadow. Hopefully, we'll get a season 3. The chances are low, so I won't be holding my breath. I don't think
I
it's gonna
know, me
happen.
either.
Or maybe they'll just do a one last season. That's it.
Yeah, I really just
No
want.
spin-offs.
I want Six of Crows. Like I really that is a really awesome plot line. Out of all of the Grishaverse books, those two are my favorite. The crows are my favorite characters. I'm like, just please give me that. Give me something. Make it a movie. I don't care.
One of the things that I don't understand about Netflix, like you guys have so much money, why not release digital comics, continuing shows you have canceled,
For some, you know what?
or some sort of
Release stuff on
continuation?
DVD. I will buy it. Like Jesus.
Right? Make money via DVDs. I still
Yeah.
don't understand why they don't do that. Like create digital only comics that continue the story, even though the show has ended. Do something because Avatar did that. Remember,
Yeah.
after the animated show ended, they still released those comic books.
Yeah. And
So
novels.
and they sell. They sell. Do that. I don't know. I don't know why Netflix doesn't do that. I have no idea. Okay, Shadow and Bone done.
Yes. Sorry. Moving on. No
Season
more.
3, hopefully. So another thing that I want to talk about, I'm really sure if you heard about it online, but Gwenpool being coded as a transgender character over in Spider-Man Across the Universe.
I hadn't heard that, but mostly because I haven't seen it yet, so I'm trying to avoid all discussion.
Okay, but it's
But
on
I
like
mean, you can talk
basically,
about it because
yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
basically on Twitter that not in the actual movie, but if you do watch the movie, her color palette and everything, it's very like transgender flaggy with those shades and colors. And people are like, you know what? There, of course, certain people they do like to read between the lines, and they're like, so apparently, either Gwenpool is supposed to be a transgender character, or her journey is supposed to mimic the journey of transgender characters or something. Because people are like, hey, there's no reason for Gwenpool, if she isn't transgender, there's no reason for her to have a protect trans kid flag in her room, if you think about it. And there's no reason for her police officer dad to have a protect trans kids badge on his jacket. Like, why would he have that badge, that specific badge on his jacket? Like, why?
solid
And
theory.
yeah, and some people are like, well, no, why are you pushing the queer agenda down our throats and whatnot? And other people are like, hey, it's a multiverse story. Gwenpool can be a transgender character in one of the thousands of alternate realities that exist. Right?
Yeah,
She can be.
Yeah. Or maybe her Peter was trans.
Maybe that.
But
could
I mean,
be a
something,
thing.
something like that. I'm not. We don't know.
Yeah. And also, you haven't watched the movie, so I'm like,
Yes, I was like,
I don't want to
haven't watched it.
spoil
I
things
don't know.
about her, Peter.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know. Yeah,
But yeah.
I haven't seen it. I was
Like-
supposed to see it tomorrow and with my friend, and now
it's so
she doesn't
good.
wanna-
It's
she's
like
not going,
so
so I'm like,
good. It's like a lock-in for best movie, animated movie. It's a lock-in. Ooh, also talking about movies with weird stuff, the Barbie movie is coming out. That's gonna be queer as heck. It's Barbie.
oh my god, no, we have to. So this trailer, it is so, that is how little girls play with Barbies. Like that is like somebody. Oh my god, it's like perfect.
Right? She doesn't walk. She doesn't use the stairs. She just floats everywhere
floats
because
down.
that's how you use the dolls. You just
Well,
prop them
if
up.
you had any Barbie doll houses, there weren't stairs. So like, how did they get down?
Right?
Our Barbie dream house had an elevator, but a lot of them don't. So like, it's just, and actually a lot of like regular doll houses.
Yeah,
like,
they just
it's
float. They
they're
just
open.
float.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're moving them from room to room. So it's like, it totally makes sense that she doesn't.
Yeah,
make
and
the
there's
stairs.
and of course there's no actual running water. There's everything is stickers.
Yep.
They don't eat. They don't actually take a bath. I'm like, This
I
movie.
love in the trailer when she steps out of her shoes and her feet are still like that. Oh my
Mm,
god, that was
oh no.
perfect.
Yeah, it's gonna be so good. It's coming out next month. So and the Ken thing. A bit. Have you read some of the rumors about what the movie is gonna be about?
No,
Want me to tell you?
sure.
So apparently Ken is the villain
Oh,
because apparently allegedly when he comes over to the real world, he notices that men rule the world. So he's like,
that
so
makes
I
a
can
lot of
do
sense.
that. So why the heck is Barbie running everything?
Yeah, that would be awesome because
Right?
I mean, I'm sure little boys playing with Barbies did
Mhm.
this too, but I was like, Ken was always the bad guy. Like,
Right?
I
Ken was
mean, like,
always
come
the
on.
villain. Ken was the one who got sacrificed and
Yeah.
killed during
Oh yeah.
wars. Always.
It was like our Barbies would, it's like, ugh, no, not Ken. The New
But
Kids on the Block dolls, on the other hand, like, yeah.
I remember because I had dolls and I also had action figures, and my younger brother also had action figures. So my Barbie would always be hooking up with Batman or
Oh yeah,
Superman.
yeah.
No one cared about Ken.
No. I was like, even as a like, oh, you couldn't make him look any more like attractive. Like, really, like he's so bland. And,
Yes. He's just
um,
Ken.
also, I was like, Barbie has a pet dinosaur. What does she need a boyfriend for? Like, come on.
But yeah, so that's gonna be a thing that he's gonna be the villain, and he's going to go back to Barbie Land, and there's going to be this entire Ken uprising. So it's gonna be like basically the Kens versus the Barbies, and
Well,
yeah,
Barbie's gonna win. I mean,
I mean, duh.
not just because it's Barbie movie, but because like it's Barbie. Like,
It's Barbie. Barbie always wins. That's her thing.
sorry, my cat was sniffing around. I thought she was gonna come up, but she didn't.
But yeah, the Barbie movie, I'm really looking forward to watching that. hmm That's it. Like a lot of queer stuff coming out this year, right?
Yeah.
A lot of queer stuff. Good for the community.
Yes. There's there's books. There's a lot of queer books. Not even just the ones I'm doing for Pride Reads.
hmm
Because as like I had made the thing. So when I started Pride Reads, which was in 2019, after BookCon, um, the reason I did it that year was because I realized I wasn't reading a lot of books with queer protagonists, and I wanted to change that. And so in June, I read only books with queer protagonists. And in 2019, I read like 9 of them because that was when I could still read without my brain being mush. And then COVID happened and I didn't. But anyway, so it's like, but since then, I've pretty much migrated to only reading books with queer protagonists, except on occasion there'll be like but it's still mostly like queer, they're queer books, and I'm like, but I still do Pride Reads because it's tradition at this point. But yeah, the Sun and the Star, the Nico D'Angelo book came out, and
yeah, I still haven't read it. It's not because I edited your review, and you mentioned about how it didn't feel like an actual book. It felt more fanficky.
Well, because but here's the thing. So I haven't read the Trials of Apollo series.
Oh,
apparently
okay.
where Will's Will gets introduced.
That's
so
where they're introduced and the relationship is developed.
Yeah, but I was reading reviews, like other people's reviews, because I tend to, when I'm trying to write a review for a book, I have problems like figuring out. I was like, I know something bothered me or whatever, but I can't figure out how to articulate it. So I read other people's reviews to see if anybody else had the same thought. And there were a lot of people, because apparently like Will's in the books, but he's not like a super huge main character or like something like that. And so it was basically just like, there was a lot of stuff in there that just felt like fan service, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But again, having not read the Trials of Apollo book, I don't know. Like, is that how they are? Like, I don't.
Yeah, Will, even in the Trial of Apollo books, Will isn't a big character. He's not even a supporting character. He's more of a minor character.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing that it was like.
Yeah, because he's more of a healer. Yeah.
Yeah, like all of his like so he's the main character in The Sun and the Star. He and Nico
Okay.
have alternating, like the books told in their alternating perspectives. And
Mm.
so with him not really being developed in the Trials of Apollo, this is really the chance to like develop him as a character. And it's not really it's sort of acting like we should already know who he is. Which, I mean, I hadn't read the book, so like so it's like I should have known already who he was. But it was like he wasn't really developed, and then he comes in The Sun and the Star, and
as a main character,
as a main character, yeah. So
and you were like, who the heck is he?
Well, I had been meaning. I'm really mad. I had time to read the Trials of Apollo books. I have all of them. I haven't read any of them. So like that's my own fault. Because I have 80 million other books I want to read and like no brain power. So
talking about these books, I hope the Percy Jackson show does well. It like feels very kid centric at this point, so I'm not really sure how wide of an audience it's gonna have.
Well, I mean, I don't. If it's close to the books, because the issue is that it feels that way because they are kids. Percy's 12 in the Lightning Thief. So I feel
the books are dark.
Yeah, they get pretty dark. So I was like, I don't think it's going to be like, it probably just feels like that way now because we really don't have anything. We have the teaser and the kids are young, and that's probably why you're like, oh, it might feel that way. But I think once we see a trailer, because like Rick Riordan is like very involved in this, and I don't think he'd make it be too kiddie, you know.
Right?
So because you can have something, like the Dragon Prince is like meant for kids, but it also deals with some pretty dark stuff. My issue with it is that it also has pretty juvenile humor. And I think that's why it's like, oh, that's a kid.
That's
show.
a kiddie show.
Like, you can have something geared towards kids and not not have it feel juvenile. I feel like it depends on the, like, please don't have fart jokes. Those are
right. I'm like, be done with it. No one, even kids, don't like that. I think.
I mean, I didn't when I was a kid.
Right? I didn't when I was a kid. I was like, really?
Although, granted, I was a weird kid. Like, maybe I'm not the judge of what kids like. Since I didn't like kids even when I was a kid, so.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of such jokes, so hopefully they don't. But then again, such jokes aren't in the books.
No, they're not.
So hopefully they're not in the show. Yeah.
Yeah, the books are actually like I don't want to say actually like, oh my god, kid books can't be smart, but I was like, no, they're really smart, and I think they deal with like heavier stuff in an age appropriate way. So I'm really excited about it. Hopefully, but we still have like another year before it comes out.
Well, the Avatar still came out today, so all I could think was like, great gowns, beautiful gowns. That's it. The costumes, great. The story,
yeah. Well, now especially like with the Michael Dante DiMartino and
the other one, yeah.
I really hate that I can't remember his name. But with them not being involved anymore, it's
right? And them actually starting their own Avatar studio and making their own movies. I'm like, why are we doing this Netflix thing?
Yeah.
Why? Why?
So yeah.
And I mean, because the Netflix thing is a live action retelling, right?
Yeah.
But the Avatar Studios, they're going to be releasing an actual continuation with the adult Aang gang and also the Kyoshi movie. And I'm like, Netflix, stop.
Yeah. I am very, because it's like, I mean, well, that's what we were talking about earlier. Like, they need to stop doing live action remakes of things. Like, if you're gonna bring it, like, they should have just done what, like, you lost out on the chance to have all this content. Like,
just scrap it and find another IP or something. Just leave it be. But Netflix doesn't leave it be. Like, The Witcher season 3 is coming out, and even with Henry Cavill gone, they're still trying to continue it with one of the Hemsworth brothers, and I'm like, Netflix, why? Don't do that.
But it's like, oh, you're gonna cancel your good stuff, but you're gonna keep beating dead horses. Like, no. There's so much stuff that deserves to be a show, and no, we're gonna. Oh no, we need a live action of this anime. Like, no, we don't.
We don't. Yeah, the One Piece trailer. Yeah, and I'm like, really? Like
I'm not
the
a One Piece
moment
person.
Netflix makes the Naruto live action, I'll be done. I'll be like, no, ain't no one wants a live action Naruto. The shipping is already bad when it comes to the manga and the anime, and now you're gonna have a live action Naruto and Sasuke. Like,
Well, speaking of that because that was a big controversy for the Avatar live action because they flipped the ages
hmm
allegedly of Katara and
and Zuko.
Sokka. No, Sokka,
Oh yeah,
because
Sokka. Because
Sokka's
the
older.
ages, yeah. So
Yeah,
they made
Sokka's
Katara
older than
older.
Katara, and then they flipped the ages. And a lot of people, I mean, there's no proof of this until anything comes out, but a lot of people assumed it was so that they would be able to have like some kind of like love triangle
With Zuko.
with Zuko, which fans did anyway, and they animated one. It's like, don't bring that back. Why are you doing that? It was probably going to happen anyway. Don't feed the fire. Like,
Right? Don't do it yourself. The moment the creatives do things for you to ship them, for you to ship characters, it always fails.
no, no.
It
Like,
fails.
but when they do stuff unintentionally and people latch onto it, they don't do
That works.
anything with it.
Yeah, they don't do anything with it. They're like,
Which is actually a good way
uh,
to segue into the discussion point. Like it's funny because I have a lot of feelings on this, and I really don't have anywhere else to talk about them. But and you're gonna shake your head at me, but it has to do something I was thinking of when I brought up the discussion point is Buddy. That's Buck and Eddie from 911. They're very, very popular ship, not canon, obviously. But I shouldn't say obviously, but they're not. And
depends
I
on who
actually
you ask.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, see, I haven't actually even seen the last 3 episodes of this season because this season has really been crap. But
So
the last
bad.
3 episodes really, really sort of felt like they were trying to be like, why do you ship these two? Like, what the hell? Because I don't want to get into this whole, like, I could have a legitimate discussion just on these two characters. But there was a whole thing over the course of the season, which fans called the couch metaphor.
Yeah, the couch thing. Yeah.
The couch thing. So what happens is that at the end of last season, Buck broke up with his girlfriend that he'd been dating the whole time. Most of the entire season, I think. And the couch was hers. So when she moved out, she took the couch, and then he didn't have a couch. And in the first episode of season 6, Eddie remarks that or whatever. It's either Eddie or Christopher. One of them, they're over at his apartment because, they just are. And they mention that he doesn't have a couch yet. And he says that both of his previous couches came with girlfriends. Because his other one was from his previous girlfriend who in season 2. And then Taylor. And so there was this whole thing about how he wanted to find his own couch, basically. And so there was this whole thing about like fans theorizing that it was like, oh, like he's gonna have like a journey, all this kind of stuff about relationships and everything. And then eventually he, at some point in the season, he gets struck by lightning and he's in a coma. And when he gets out of the coma, his parents, which we're not even going to talk about redeeming toxic parents, that's a whole other thing I could write about. His mom buys him a couch. So like there was this whole thing about how he wanted to find a couch, like blah blah blah, and his mom just buys him a couch, and he doesn't like the couch. And rather than like getting rid of it, he keeps the couch, but he can't sleep on it because he can't. I think he can't go upstairs because of his coma. I don't know. But he goes over to Eddie's house and falls asleep on the couch, in, like 2 seconds, in like 2 seconds. And so fans are like,
the couch!
Reading into it. Yeah, that it was like he's comfortable at Eddie's, like all that kind of stuff.
The writers want you to read into it.
Yes. And then at the end of the season, he ends up with some woman.
A random woman,
random woman that like he met on a call, which I feel like is unethical. And also he had the nerve to tell Eddie that woman understood him better than anybody else. This woman that he's known 3 days. And apparently I haven't seen the season finale, but apparently in the season finale they go shopping for a couch. Like
Yeah,
your whole
yeah,
point was that your other couches came with girlfriends.
yeah. And apparently, the network basically canceled the series.
Yeah, Fox canceled it and it's going to be on ABC next year.
So Fox was like, "No, the couch. We don't play with the couch.
Well, that was
Cancel."
yeah. So because I didn't watch the episodes, but I read a lot of the discussions on Reddit, and a lot of people that it was like they probably filmed this, like wrote this and filmed this episode thinking it was going to be a series finale. So everybody's plot lines wrap up nicely, even if they don't make flipping
Even
sense.
if it didn't make sense, yeah.
And but now it's moving on to ABC, and some people are cautiously optimistic about it moving to ABC because ABC's a lot better with queer storylines. You know, you've got Grey's Anatomy, you've got all these shows over there, so they're kind of hoping that that helps. But I don't know, because like, I mean, I could literally write treatises on Buck and Eddie, because Eddie's entire arc is so compulsive heterosexuality, it's not even funny.
That's
Like,
the thing. That's the thing. Because I don't care if Buck and Eddie end up together. I don't care. Really. Personally, I don't care. But what I do need is one of them to come out as queer. Because their dynamic doesn't make sense. Because two cishet straight guys do not interact like that with each other. One of them needs to come out as queer. They don't have to be together or in love or whatever. They can stay friends. But one of them has to be queer. Otherwise, the dynamic makes no sense.
Yeah. One of my most common tags for them on Tumblr is there is no heterosexual explanation for it, because there isn't.
Makes no sense.
And
it's either two queer dudes or one straight dude and one queer dude being a mess. Like,
because so that's what somebody I want to say it was on Reddit, and I should have saved the post because it was very well written. Had this whole like thesis on compet, compulsive heterosexuality, which is the idea that you are straight because you think you should be.
A lot of women go through that. Queer women, yeah. A lot of queer women go through that.
There's a reason I didn't realize I was queer until I was in my 30s. And that's the idea with Eddie, which a lot of canon facts seem to confirm. So in this season, we found out that he had a girlfriend in season 5, season 4, and then into season 5. And he broke up with her in season 5 because he had a panic attack at the idea of people thinking that she was his wife.
Yeah.
And then he realized, well, the whole thing was, the theory was that he wasn't dating her because he wanted to date her. He was dating her because he wanted his son to have a mother. And she was his son's teacher, had been his son's teacher, wasn't when they started dating. I feel like I need to emphasize that. But yeah, so like he already knew her and was like comfortable. So it was like this kind of thing. And it confirmed in season 6, which is the season that just ended, that Eddie and Shannon, who is his son's mother, like had been dating since like high school, and they got married because she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And then he pretty much immediately signed up for the army and was gone until, so they were never really married, you know, like they were married, but he was always on tour. He was in Afghanistan. And when he finally came back, that's when she left. So, and then he didn't date because he didn't have time. He had like 3 jobs until he moved to LA and became a firefighter. But it was like he didn't date until he started dating Anna in season 4. And those are the only 2 relationships he's had. So it would be so easy for them to write a coming out, because it was like a lot of fans theorized that he's demi. And so I was like, that's a perfect thing. I was like, there's so many people that, because I don't have stats, but I read somewhere that a lot of ace people come out later because it's not something you think about. It's a lot harder to prove a negative.
Yeah, you can't really prove it. Yeah.
And so like it just might, you know, and it was like I hadn't even thought of that until I read it in a fanfic. So it was like, because nobody talks about asexuality. So And so it was like,
People can't even understand bisexuality on TV. You want to
yeah,
teach them about
I
asexuality?
know, I
Really?
know. But it would be so easy for Eddie because so this is how I'm getting into my discussion because I've been watching some
Mhm.
Thai BL dramas lately, and I like the way that they handle these kind of storylines. Because one of the arguments that I see so often against having a ship like Buddy go canon is that it doesn't make sense. Like they're both straight, and it was like okay, but they've never actually said that.
Mhm.
On 911, the only two characters' sexualities that have been stated outright are Hens
Yeah.
and Michael's,
Mhm.
because Michael's coming out was sort of a big deal in season one. So those are the only two that have flat out been like, I'm gay. None of the straight characters have
No one else.
needed
Yeah.
to say that they're straight
Mhm.
because it's assumed because we live in a heteronormative society. But it was like, and so people are like, oh well, Bucks only slept with women. And it was like
Who
that
cares?
doesn't mean anything
It means
because I think
nothing.
there have been enough instances, not even Eddie related,
Mhm.
that where you can tell Buck is like looking, like just because he's only slept with women doesn't mean anything. And also that is like we've only seen him.
He's on Grinder with a blank
Yeah,
profile.
fire hose.
Just
Um,
just looking around,
because I
just
was like,
tapping people to annoy them.
we've
Just
only seen Buck sleep with women, and
Mhm.
honestly, it hasn't been that many. I mean, in the pilot, yeah, because that was the big thing. But even then, I think it was only like two or three women, and then he had Abby, and then he had Allie. Too many similar names, and then Taylor. So like, not honestly, not that many.
These are
So it's
very
like, but
these are very beard-like names, right? If you ask a gay guy, hey, what's your girlfriend's name? Abby. Taylor.
but it would be so. But it was like so. But with Eddie, it would like make so much sense. He's only been in two relationships,
Mhm.
and those relationships were both determined not by his own feelings but by his son.
Yeah.
So it would just be so easy for him to realize that he doesn't have to be demi. He can like bi. He doesn't have to be gay. He can be bisexuality.
Right, because a lot of bi people go through that too. Because even though they're attracted to men or whatnot, they do end up settling for women because that's what the society expects.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was like, and also it was like if you're afraid of that part of yourself, because that's another thing. Like Eddie comes from a very like he's from Texas. His
Mhm.
parents seem to be very conservative, very traditional. Like, there's a whole thing with Eddie and his dad in season 5, where it was like he had to be the man of how that kind of thing. And so
And
it was
again, he
like,
wants his son to have a mother. So
yeah,
there's
and
there's that
he's
thing.
he's
Yeah.
Latino, which has a
Hmm.
very very masculine
Hmm.
dominating culture. So like this whole thing, and so but it was like, but it would be so easy for him to just like, I just really want, I don't know, them to go to like a gay bar or something and like have this epiphany, because it would be so easy because well, the whole thing I wanted was the Thai BL dramas. And so the two that I've watched recently have been A Tale of Thousand Stars and Bad Buddy, both of which I have wrecked, both of which
Hmm.
are awesome and free on YouTube. So you should all watch them like as soon as we're done. Um, but in A Tale of Thousand Stars, um, Tian goes to the village and he meets Chief Pupa and like um, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce them. I'm sorry. I'm gonna butcher these Thai names like so bad. Um, and anyway, there's a spark from the beginning, um, and then later he ends up meeting with one of his friends from Bangkok, and his friend is thinking that it was like because Tian is he's from a very privileged background. His family's wealthy and all that kind of stuff, and he moves to this village where his he lives in a cabin. It doesn't have electricity, like
Hmm.
that kind of thing, and so everybody's like he's gonna give up and go home, and he doesn't. And there's reasons why, but one of the reasons is Pupa. So like And his friend is convinced that he was like, oh, like, is there a girl you like?
Mm-hmm.
And then Tian goes, like, what if I told you it was a guy? And his friend is like, okay. Like,
Right? It's like, okay,
big
okay,
whoop.
okay.
And then and Tian is even as like, you're not surprised. And he was like, if I told you I liked a girl, would you be surprised? So
Mm-hmm.
no, it's not that, like, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you have Bad Buddy, which is fantastic, legitimately gold standard.
I did watch the finale for the previous show you mentioned, the 1,000 star thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I need to watch. I won't be able to watch the entire thing, but I need to watch the finale. And it was like, ah, a happy ending. Yay!
Yes, they have happy endings. I was like, that's another thing I like about them. Happy endings. And Bad Buddy especially flies in the face of a lot of tropes that BLs tend to have. One of which is like, because you have Pat and Pran, and Pat is the more athletic one, and so
Mm-hmm.
you go in thinking that it was like, oh, he's gonna be like, you know, there's stereotypes in shows like with
Yeah.
particular character archetypes, and Pat just like, no, like all the thing. And apparently a lot of his, like, what makes Pat so great is down to the actor whose name I cannot pronounce. It's Om, I think. And there's apparently one scene in episode 3, which is before Pat realizes that he's in love with Pran. And they had to do it like 10 or 11 times because the director kept going like, you're not in love with him yet, stop acting like you are. And Om was like, he's like, no, he's like, I really think that even if he doesn't realize it yet, that he is already in love with Pran. And so like,
Very, very Mulan.
it just
I
makes
get
it great.
Yeah.
But so like, he realizes that he's in love with Pran when he's on a date with this girl that he liked in high school. And his sister had given him 4 signs to know if the person that you like likes you back. And one of them is like how they react when you touch, like when you look into their eyes, if they want to know if you're seeing somebody, and I can't remember the 4th one, but it's basically like that. And so he's on a date with her and he's going through all of these signs and he's realizing that she's not picking up. She's just like, oh, okay. Well, and I mean, it turns out like she's a lesbian and that's why. But but like, so, and then later in the episode, he runs into Pran and he realizes like pretty quickly that signs, all of those signs apply to Pran. And so he's kind of just like what? And he doesn't, I mean, he does sort of have like a minor crisis about it, but I don't think it's because Pran's a guy. I think it's because of their previous relationship. Mm-hmm. Because if you've read my rec, like the whole thing is that their families hate each other, and they've been raised to be like super competitive. Yeah, to be super competitive with each other, and so it's like this thing. It was like he knows like they can't really date because they'll never be able to be open with their parents, because their parents, like, yeah, but it's Pat, because it was like, I really like this because it was like they didn't let it linger. Pat realizes he's in love with Pran and then spends like the rest of the episode trying to talk to him about it. Mm-hmm. But they also can't be around each other at school because their departments are rivals too. So like there's like their friends hate each other, so they can't really be seen together. But they live across from each other in the dorm.
Of course
they do.
Of course.
And they end up meeting on the roof, and like,
of course,
Pat's trying to talk to Pran about it and all that kind of stuff. And Pran is like, we're not friends. We can't be friends. And Pat's just like, you know, and it was like, and honestly, like,
he's like, I'm not asking you to be my friend. I'm asking you to be my boyfriend.
Yeah, like Pran's like, do you want to be friends? And he's like, no. And then he kisses him, which is great. Right? Like, seriously, like, watch this scene.
I'm not asking you to be friends. Like,
oh, great. Because like, and then obviously, like, and if you've seen this scene that I embedded in my post, like, Pran walks away after that because of everything that I just mentioned. Like, they can't really be friends. They can't ever really like openly date. And Pran's been in love with Pat and known it since high school. Mm-hmm. So Just a lot of like stuff. I mean, they obviously do end up together. That's the whole thing.
Happy ending.
Yeah.
That's what matters at the end, right?
Super
It needs to be a
like
happy
obviously like, and even I don't want to spoil it because it's great, but there's like, and a lot of these, like even like K dramas, like even regular relationship dramas do it. Is that there's always near the end of the series they always break up for some stupid contrived reason. There's always a breakup. Usually one of them is going to another country, like that kind of thing. And like Bad Buddy even takes that and like flips it. So it's like it's really good. But something that I like was that it's a very common trope in BL that you usually have one of the characters that's gay and the other one is not gay, but he's gay for that person. You know,
Yeah.
only him. And there's actually a scene once their relationship is finally out at school, at least. Their parents still don't know. But Pat actually lives with his sister, who ends up dating the girl from high school. It's great. But they're all having dinner together, and like his sister makes the comment, like, "Oh, I thought for sure you'd be like, oh, I'm only gay for Pan or whatever," and Pat's like, "No, I'm pretty sure I'm Pan," although he doesn't say it like that. But I was like, so I appreciated that. But I was like, I really wish that American shows would have that attitude towards these kind of things. I mean, I know when you're watching a BL, you know they're going to be gay, and most everybody's going to be gay. That's the whole point of a BL. Like literally everybody's gay in these things. But it's like it's more, they take such a blasé attitude about it, which is what it should be. And I really wish American shows would have that open-mindedness about those kind of storylines, where it was like, it doesn't have to have been scripted from the beginning.
Yeah.
But if it makes, like, it doesn't, and I was like, does it even need to make sense? Because like half of the straight couples they have on TV don't make sense.
They don't make sense. Yeah.
It was like Scott and Allison, like he gives her a pen. Like seriously, that's like the grand romantic, like, geez.
Also, yeah, and then the movie. The Teen Wolf movie is being submitted for an Emmy.
I can't believe we forgot to talk about that.
I tweeted, I was like, for what, Jeff? An Emmy for what?
Have you seen them? I think it was a tweet where somebody was like, "This is like me applying to Harvard with a 0.5 GPA."
I kind of feel bad for Paramount because they really thought that they had a hit in their hands with the Teen Wolf the movie, and they really thought that they had another cult hit with Wolfpack. And I'm like, it's on you, Paramount, because anything that Jeff decides to do, it always fails. After Teen Wolf season 3, anything that guy has tried to do, it has failed.
I'd argue after season 2.
Yeah.
Because my thing, I mean, not to devolve into it, like we could do a Teen Wolf thing later.
Yeah.
But the whole thing was that I was like, you can't. He wrote storylines around particular characters and then didn't make sure he could secure the actors.
Right.
So then he had to completely redo everything, because it's like you can tell that bits of season 3A are supposed to be about Jackson, and Jackson's not there.
Jackson's not there.
And then I think there's bits of 3B that are supposed to be about Cora, and Cora's not there. Like, that's why they brought in Malia.
The entire Teen Wolf movie was supposed to be about Styles and Kira, and they're both not there.
Neither of them came back. Good on them. But also, I remember hearing, who was it? I think it was Crystal Reed who gave an interview saying like they didn't have a script until like halfway through shooting, and I'm like, that makes sense. That sounds about right.
That actually makes sense. That's how even the TV show was filmed. Holland mentioned it. Like we got scripts while we were still like waiting or rehearsing, or we would be like reading one script and then we'll get another script. Like, forget what you already read, take this. And
I mean, in retrospect, it's like, yeah, that.
And I'm like, Jeff, you're not that much of a genius to be writing scripts on the spot. Like,
well, and knowing that they didn't have a show Bible, so it's like you can't keep track of your own stuff, and you keep changing the script.
Did you watch that video where an actual person during a con asked Eli, the actor who plays Eli, and Tyler Hoechlin about who the mom is? Did you watch the video?
Did I? No, I don't think I did.
Yeah, there's a video, and Tyler, and they were like, Styles the mom, right? And Tyler started laughing, and Eli is like, because Tyler was like, how would that work? And the actor who plays Eli, because he's read fanfic, he's like, there's a way they can make
Dude, like this is a show, like you don't follow your own rules on this show. You don't need to follow the rules of nature.
you don't. And again, even though Jeff was like so against Starrick, the Teen Wolf movie is all about Starrick. It's like Starrick everywhere. The kid who looks like Styles. Styles' Jeep. Styles' dad, basically being Eli's granddad. Like,
Yep.
I'm like, wow, Jeff, wow.
It's like I was like that still didn't make me watch it. So
But yeah, I feel bad for Paramount Plus because when the
well,
writer's
don't they have
strike
all the
happened,
Star Trek shows?
when the writer's strike happened, I actually joked with Rodney Cole. I was like, you know what? With the writer's strike happening, Jeff is knocking at Paramount's door, and he's like, "Hey, I can give you a script for Teen Wolf movie 2 right here,
We didn't
right
have a
now.
script for the first one. We don't
Right?
need one for this one.
We don't need the. We can do this. I can give you the content you need throughout the strike." But yeah, Wolfpack got cancelled. Basically, it's not coming back.
Yeah.
It had, again, like Teen Wolf, it had so much potential. There were certain werewolf specific lore things that I wanted to explore more of because they were very different from how werewolves are portrayed on TV shows.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, I need to learn more about that. But again, I mean, I'm like, Jeff made me so annoyed when I was watching that show. I was like, you did it again, right, Jeff? You did it again. You would like mention this plot point and then drop it.
Yeah.
Just drop it. It never existed. I'm like, no one cares about the teen romance. No one wants that. Even
gonna ship whoever
teenagers
we
don't want
anyway.
it. Yeah. Ugh.
The thing that so this is a thing that I think happens in Hollywood is that something will be a big hit and they don't know why. And so they try to manufacture it again without like really looking into why it was popular in the 1st place. And then it sucks. Like just make good shows. Like you don't like stop pushing out crap that is sort of like something that happens. It's like no, like there's only one. Like
I'm like, stop telling the fandom what they should be and shouldn't be excited about.
Yeah.
Stop telling the fandom you don't have power over the fandom. You never will. So just make something good and just release it. Release it into the wild.
This is the thing, yeah. So I used to watch this show. It was a Canadian show, but it aired on the Disney Channel called Life with Derek. They were step siblings, and I shipped them because if you watch this show, everybody shipped them. Like the actors shipped them. Okay, there's no way some of these scenes happen with anyway, and to be like, I mean, so because fandom has gotten a lot more purity culture lately. So they didn't meet until they were teenagers, and then they're forced into the same house. Obviously, shit's gonna happen. I apologize for my language, but anyway, so it was like that, like those two, like super popular, most popular ship ever, because they really didn't interact with anyone else. Like the whole show was about the two of them having to live together. That's the point of the show. It's literally called Life with Derek. Like Derek was the stepbrother. So anyway, like so many people ship them, and I think in like mid-season 2, I think is when the creator found out that people shipped them, and was just like, well, we can't have that. This is a family show. It's like we're not expecting anything to happen,
right?
Let us write our fanfic. But anyway, so in season 3, they suddenly, or whatever, they started really trying to push them apart. Like they'd have episodes where they didn't even see each other, and I'm like, they live in the same house. How does that happen? And then they got, they gave Casey, the girl, a boyfriend that I think was supposed to be like Derek.
Derek, yeah.
But he was just a jackass. Like Derek was a kind of a jerk, but you could tell he actually had like
very Teen Wolf, Jamie, very Teen Wolf, right?
Yeah. And it was So, but it was like people hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Hated it. Season 4 is one of the worst, most uneven seasons because of this. Because you have this jackass boyfriend who like is like there's no redeemable qualities in this character. He's just not Derek. And like his garbage. And then you have it's like people hated it. It was like why like don't try to do that. Like if you don't like you can't stop fans shipping something.
Yeah, you can't. That's what I want
Like
certain creators to realize. You can't stop shipping. That's it. You can't.
like don't try and force us to ship
Mm-hmm.
something. Don't
Mm-hmm.
try and force us to not ship something.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna listen to you. You don't control our fanfic. Like I mean you can, but please don't.
But also, you need us. You need us for your show to survive.
Exactly.
It's not the other way around.
But yeah, it's stuff like that. It's like I feel like for a lot of creators, it's an ego thing. It's like they didn't think of it, and so they don't want other people talking about it. And it's like, okay, but yeah.
Or at least be respectful about it. Like Rick Riordan, right? There's a whole lot of shipping happening in the Percy Jackson franchise. Rick doesn't say anything against it. He doesn't say anything for it. He just lets it be and tells the story that he wants to tell. Just
Neil
do
Gaiman is
that.
the same way.
Yeah, just do that.
It's like this is the story I'm telling. Whatever you want to do with it,
go ship. You want to ship Percy and Nico? Go ahead. It ain't happening in the novels, but go ahead.
I mean, Nico was in love with Percy, so at least there's
right. But I'm like,
yeah, that's the. I mean, we could talk about that, but that goes back to the whole like compulsive heterosexuality and the heteronormativity, and it's just like even going back to 911 because I really did have like I was seriously like 2,000 words into this article about the heteronormativity on 911, and I was just like, no, I don't want to do this to myself. But it was like even the queer couples, very heteronormative on there because it's like everybody has to get married, everybody has to have babies.
Tarlis is going through that right now.
Yep.
Everyone has to get married. Carlos was already married, which what the fuck?
Yeah.
He had sisters. That were never mentioned before. He had nieces and nephews, and I'm like,
I think he mentioned his sisters before, but like,
don't know.
But like, I feel like after season 1, we really didn't learn about Carlos. There was a lot more info in season 1.
But yeah,
which is when his wife was introduced, and we didn't find that out.
But yeah, they're married now, and Carlos doesn't want to have kids, but TK wants to have kids. So I guess that's what's going to be.
That is the conversation that should have happened before you got engaged,
right? I'm like, wow, a whole lot of conversations. Do you guys even know each other?
Yeah.
Like, why are you getting married?
Well, that's why I mean I think I've mentioned this before that I was like not like Lone Star handles Tarlos's little moments really well.
Yeah.
They have really awesome, like cute little domestic moments. The big stuff, they fumble so bad.
Don't
like
do that. Just give us the little
their
moments.
Makeup, like everything is just so bad. So it's hard. Like I can't. I was like, ugh, could they just be domestic in the background? Like
that's it. That's all we need. We don't need these major big arcs focusing on the relationship. We don't need that.
Like, not everybody needs to get married. Not everybody wants to get married. Like, and also like they live in Texas. Is that really safe for them? Like seriously, why is this not a conversation that is happening on this show?
But yeah, Thai dramas handling queer representation better than the U.S. dramas.
Yeah, well, and I was like, I think. Yeah, because the Thai dramas definitely, but I also think some stuff like Given, I think handles it like the anime Given. I think that handles it really well. Of course, all of those characters are queer. At least 3 of them are bi, and like
ain't open straight in that band.
Yeah. And because they all end up dating each other too. So it's like, but I really because it was like when oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce his name tonight. I'm sorry, Ritsuka. When he comes out to Akihiko and he's expecting Akihiko to like be surprised and he's just like, okay, some dudes like dudes, like big deal. But I was like, you appreciate those moments and you have to wonder why, like the thing that bothers me in the discussions, the 911 discussions, this happens a lot. I actually had to leave the subreddit because I was sick of it. Is that people expect that if a character's not, if they don't say basically as soon as they're introduced that they're gay, that there's no way to make them gay.
Right.
It was like, it doesn't require a big buildup. It doesn't require, you don't need to spend a season dropping hints. I was like, legitimately, I was 33 years old reading a fanfic and I went, huh, that sounds like me. And that was it. That was it. Like, you don't need, you just need the light bulb moment. And it doesn't need to be a build up. It doesn't need to be a season long arc. Everybody's like, oh, they need to start laying the groundwork. No, they don't.
No.
That's not how it happens in real life. Do you not know gay people? Like, Jesus. Not everybody knows when they're young. Some people don't find out until later, you know.
Oh, well, but
bothers
people,
me so much. That's why I was like, that's why I'm watching the time. Like, watch Bad Buddy. It's great. Like, seriously. I will, like, legitimately. I literally just spent $55 buying a sleep mask from Thailand.
You tweeted about it.
Because
$55
wears it
JB.
in the Bad Buddy special episodes. And it's really cute.
$55 for a sleep mask.
Well, okay, the mask itself was $20, which I think is very reasonable considering what it is, and that it has removable eyes because it has moods. Like, so there's 4 removable things, which I didn't know originally. Like, I just saw the mask and I was like, oh my god, I want that. But it has moods. So the mask itself is $20.
But then the shipping
from Thailand is $35. So, but it's really cute. So the thing is that Pat has a plushie that he sleeps with. He can't sleep without it. And he's the really athletic one, so I just think it's adorable that he has a stuffed animal that he sleeps with. I love like that kind of stuff, like the undermining stereotypes like that. The sleep mask that Pran has is the plushie that Pat sleeps with. Like, it's that face. So it's just like, it's cute. It's adorable. And I was like, in my defense, I want it. So that's why I bought it. And I'm on my 3rd rewatch already.
Well, yeah, so both shows are on YouTube and you can watch them for free.
Yes. And they have the crossover. Well, because so I think this is a thing that this channel does, is that they have a lot of BL dramas. And then they do something called Our Sky. And what that is it's like they get, I want to say it's like 8 dramas. And they each get 2 episodes, like a 2-episode special. But what they did for A Tale of Thousand Stars and Bad Buddy was that they each got 1 individual episode, and then they had 2 crossover episodes. So the plot of the and this is actually why I started watching them, because the crossover, like, these episodes just aired. And so I was seeing them all over Tumblr, and I'd been wanting to watch these shows anyway. And so I was like, all right, fine, I'll watch them. And so what happens is that Tian had actually wrote about his whole thing in the village, his journey and all that kind of stuff, and put it online. And Pran found it and wanted to turn it into a play. But he needed Tian's permission to do that. Yeah. So he goes up to the village to get Tian's permission. And originally he's supposed to go with Pat, and then Pat does something stupid and is basically like, Pran can't do anything without me. And Pran is like, all right, fine, I'm going to do this without you. And so he goes to the village on his own, and Tian will give the permission, but Pupa won't. So then they have to get him to give her, and then there's like this whole kind of stuff. And then and the actual, like, the Tale of Thousand Stars special episode is actually like Tian and Pupa actually like go watch the play. So, not
the multiverse of queerness.
They watch the play based on themselves. So it's so funny. But I was like, it's great, yeah. So I legitimately cannot recommend this show enough. It is it's just they're just really cute. And
we're segueing into recommendations.
Yes, like, that's my
That's the recommendation too.
my discussion point in there is, have I mentioned Bad Buddy? Because that is what I am recommending.
Go watch it. It's free. Come on, people. It's free. Just watch it.
It is. It's free. It's 12 episodes.
Happy ending. Yeah.
And the show's on, because it's GMMTV is the channel, and they break them up, so they're 15-minute, like, there's 12 episodes, but they're in four. Each episode's in 4 parts. So if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, you can just watch one part, which everybody should do right now. Not right now. Wait until we're done and then
go. My recommendation would be the other two. It's on HBO Max or just Max, which is just a weird like Max. No.
Well, I mean, not to get off topic, but again, but it's just like Cinemax. I really can't believe Cinemax wasn't like, hey, wait a minute.
Right?
That's our name.
Max. And what does even Max mean? Is it a streaming service? Is it a dishwasher? Is it like, do you put it in the washing machine? Ooh, Max. Like what?
It's a dog.
Right? It makes no sense.
Max Power.
Max Power. Max Power, the best cleaning cloth you'll ever find. Sweeper sister. But yeah. Anyway, so the other two, it's on HBO Max, and it's currently airing its 3rd season, and it's so good. It's so good. It like drags Hollywood every chance it gets, and the industry, and it's just watch it. It's like one of those shows that I can't really explain much about it. When I talk, you have to watch it to experience it for yourself, because that's the kind of comedy that's happening, and it's like 2-3 jokes taking place at the same time, and it's like just watch it. The other two.
Okay. I don't think. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Watch Teen Wolf the movie, because I wanted to get a sequel just to see how much of a mess it will be.
Oh, news we forgot to mention is Superman and Lois finally got renewed for season 4.
But then again, the fandom is happy, but they're also not happy.
Yeah, well, for
Because
starters, I
it's
mean,
like-
I never finished season 2, so I haven't
Yeah.
seen season 3. But season 4, like, it got renewed, but it's a shorter season, and they cut like half the cast.
Yeah, they're like all of the main, like more than half the cast got offered to be recurring, but some of them even said like, you know what, just making ourselves busy for a cameo or a recurring role, we're just out.
Yeah.
We're just out. We don't want to be part of season 4. And I'm like, so it's turning into a white show again.
Yeah.
Remember the controversy that occurred in
Yep.
season number 1 that this is a very white show? Well, things come full circle. It's a white show.
Yeah, this has just gotta be like, we're just gonna end it. Like season 4 is probably gonna be like.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's gonna happen. Like this is CW didn't announce it yet, but I think that this is the 4th and the last season. You
Yeah.
aren't getting a season 5. It's done.
Yeah.
Because it's the only superhero show left on the CW.
It's not. Oh yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's not on the city. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. Flash ended. Gotham Knights got
Gotham
cancelled.
Knights got canceled.
The fact that it even got greenlit in the first place, I'm like, what?
That's Misha.
A Batman show without Batman? What?
Misha Collins. That's why.
Yeah.
I got greenlit. Also, like, well, they canceled Kung Fu, which I didn't even know they'd aired season 3 because I never found out when they aired season 2, which I still haven't seen. Because I'm like, because as somebody that watches a lot of TV, they didn't promote it. Like,
They don't.
like obviously, I can't watch a show if you don't tell me when it's on.
So a lot of shows got cancelled. What was the other show that got cancelled? That Supernatural thing? The Supernatural spin-off?
Oh, Winchesters.
Yeah, that got cancelled too. Jensen was very sad about it, I guess. But he was like, well, we can try to save it, but we can't because of the strike. So it's done. But Walker is still on.
No. Also, everybody remember that when you're trying to blame somebody for the strike, blame the producers because
Not
it's
the
their fault.
writers. Yeah, don't blame the writers. Jensen was like, oh, because of the writer's strike. No.
It's like, no. It's because the producers are jerks.
Mhm.
It's like, does the CEO of Warner Media need $250 million a year? No, he does not. No, he does
no
not.
one needs that
Especially
much money.
considering the job he's doing right now.
Yeah,
So,
no one needs that much money. Like, come on now. Like, we all know that China has its own issues, but one of the things that I like about China is like they have caps on how much money a person can make. It doesn't matter if you're a superstar or whatnot. You cannot make more than this amount of money. It's like, it's done. You don't need that much money. Come on now. Especially when your writers are underpaid, your assistants are underpaid. Like, why are
everybody's
you
underpaid.
but you're the one.
Archivists are underpaid.
but
I didn't
you're
say
the
that.
but you're the one getting millions of dollars to
Yeah.
do what? Like, no.
To ruin your brand. All right.
But yeah, the writer strike is still going on. The screen, what was it? The Actors Guild has sided with them still. However, the DGA ended up making a very shady deal. So
Yeah.
the DGA is out, and I'm like, ooh, directors, no.
There was, I mean, it's bad, but there was some stuff that the directors got that the writers were angling for, like at
Mm-hmm.
least discussion. Like a lot of it is just like they just want to talk about it,
Yeah,
like the use of AI and all that kind of
just
stuff.
come
It's
to the
just like they
table
won't
and
even
talk
talk
about
about it.
it. And I'm like, the fact that certain producers think that AI can write shows for them, it's like, no,
I mean, nobody's watching your shows when writers write them. You think
right?
I'm gonna watch them when writers aren't writing them? Like,
Right? Like,
no. There's
no.
a reason I don't watch reality TV. It's because it sucks.
And also, show me one good example of a great script written by AI. They can't show it because
Yeah.
they don't have it, because
Well,
it's
the
not possible.
Yeah, well, what they want to do is they want to have AI write it and then have a writer redo it. It was like, no, or you could just have a writer write it in the first place.
Right?
Because
Like,
because AI doesn't live. Writing the stories that are written come from people's experiences.
mhm.
AI doesn't have that. It's just regurgitating stuff that it found somewhere else online. Like if you even want to get into the legal ramifications of that, because it's all stolen material.
So that's why legally, any art that's created by AI, it's not copyright
It's
protected.
not, no, it's not copyrighted because no human produced it,
Hmm.
so you can't copyright it.
So yeah, keep on making, keep on creating new characters via AI, and they won't be copyrighted, and the fandom can do whatever they want.
And they
Do
will.
that. They will. They even do that for copyrighted characters.
Yep. Yeah,
So what do you think they're going to do with,
I was like,
with not copyrighted characters? Well,
no.
what? Like AI.
I actually did have one last thing I wanted to say because I forgot to mention this at the top of the show. So I am going back to San Diego Comic-Con this year. I mean, Comic-Con is still like things are up in the air right now with the strike. But Comic-Con is still going to happen because there's still like, I mean, books and comics and all that kind of stuff.
And movies they have to promote. Yeah.
Yeah, like
They're
stuff still
done.
needs to get promoted.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so anyway, I am actually on a panel this year.
Ooh.
I think it's hilarious. So I am on a panel. I can't give the when or the where yet until the schedule comes out, but I am on a panel about Korean pop culture.
Jamie.
Well, I was asked by the person that's running it because they were looking for people to fill it out, and they were like, "You watch K-dramas, right?" And I'm like, "I do." I think the only white person on it. So I was like, it's not going to be like all talking about Korean pop culture, which is why I was hesitant to be on it because I'm like, one, white, two, I was like, I'm not really an expert at Korean pop
like
culture.
Even I would be like, I haven't lived like a decade or two in Korea. Like,
yeah, like I mean, I watch K-drama, but
that's it.
Like, but that's, I mean, it's just gonna be about that. So, but I was like, I'm excited. I'm gonna be on a panel. So, yay!
An official panel with an official badge. You'll be making an appearance. Okay.
Yep. It's funny. The person that's running the panel had already tweeted about it, so I'm allowed to say that I'm on this panel. But I can't give the location or anything until the schedule comes out.
Ooh,
but we should be doing. Well, it's basically like you don't want to run the risk of getting it. There's a lot of stuff. Like if you announce it too early, they can be like, okay, you know what? No,
it's canceled. It could be rescheduled. A lot of things could happen at San Diego Comic-Con.
But we should hopefully be doing our regular pre-con webcast from preview night. We didn't do it last year because my flight got delayed.
Yeah.
But this year I'm flying in on Tuesday, so
because
no
you
chance
have to be there.
Yes.
You have to be there.
I will already be there. Well, that was the whole thing. Because we didn't originally get a hotel in Hotel Apocalypse, and I got a hotel from somebody. And their reservation was Tuesday to Sunday, and normally ours we normally do Wednesday to Monday. And so I was like, okay, well, I wouldn't have added Tuesday on my own, but since it was already on the reservation, I was like, meh. I was like, I'm gonna
Take it.
appreciate not
Yeah.
worrying about, because like my flight's been delayed like the last 3 times, so I'm like, it'll be nice to already be in
Be
San
there.
Diego
Yeah.
for preview night. So also the forum that I'm on does a preview night breakfast every year that I've never gotten to do because I'm on a plane. So
A plane that gets delayed. Okay.
the plane that gets delayed.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to go. More coverage. Oh, also, tune in onto our YouTube because we do a lot of San Diego Comic Con coverage, interviews, press roundtables, you name it.
Yep.
We'll probably end up having it. But yeah, also, I'm just excited. Surreal Estate season number 2 needs to be there, and I need you to go.
If it is, we will. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we were talking about this before we went live. I was like, it's going to be a very weird. There's nothing I can think of that I would normally be covering, because I was like, I'm not really watching a whole lot.
Right.
And also with streaming, it's not the same as when it was like with network shows. It's like you were pretty much, you knew which shows were going to be there. With streaming, it's very, very, you don't know.
It's very like, last minute in a way. It's like, oh, they're showing up.
Yeah, because it was like before, you could usually tell who was going to be there. And if you knew who the publicists were, you could reach out in advance to sort of get on the list before the list, they get the list. And but it's really hard to do that with streaming, because you have to sort of like
who do you contact, right? Who do you
well
contact?
It's not so much that, it's more like you have to, it's kind of like you're throwing darts in the dark.
Are they even coming? Yeah
So last year I sent a whole bunch of emails for shows that didn't go, but it was basically just like anything I thought might go, I was like, I'll just email a bunch of Netflix stuff and and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, you can usually count on, before, like the Arrowverse shows would all be there.
Yeah,
they don't have those anymore, so like not even that.
Arrowverse would be there, Walking Dead would be there, like certain shows would be there. Yeah.
Well, they're probably Walking Dead's probably going to be there this year. The Rick and Michonne spinoff is coming out.
Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, Surreal Estate. I need you to go there, and I need you to see if they know who we are. And yeah.
I actually had this is hilarious. So back to Bad Buddy. But I actually have a real life friend that watches Bad Buddy. And her reblogging stuff on Tumblr is pretty much why I started watching it, as is how I watch most of my shows. But anyway, I met up with her today because today in New York was the Lower East Side Pride book crawl, which is 6 bookstores that get together, and they're like queer owned, and all that kind of stuff, and they have discounts and all that kind of stuff for Pride. I bought 2 books today that I probably didn't need to buy, but I'm gonna be at a bookstore. I'm gonna buy a book. But anyway, my Bad Buddy friend was there, and she was talking about the Bad Buddy Discord, and I'm like, yeah, you need to invite me to that. And so she sent me the link, and I basically, like, as soon as I got home, I joined the Discord. And then one of the people in the Discord was like, oh, hey, like, great article on the Geekiary. And then they were like, if that's you. And I'm like, no, it's me. They're like, unless that screen name is a huge coincidence. And I'm like, no, that's me. I was like, I'm Jamie Sugar everywhere. So
yeah, that's what I always like about working for the Geekiary. People know us.
I know. I'm still surprised when that happens.
They won't say it. They might not even talk about it. But Hollywood knows. The entertainment business knows who the Geekiary is. They're like, not them.
Jeff Davis knows who we are.
A lot of people know. Jeff Davis knows who we are. Karina McKenzie knows who we are. A lot of people know who we are.
Yeah, it's usually not good.
Oh.
That's okay. It's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah,
it's always everybody likes you,
right? It's always like it's like always a good feeling when they just pop up. They're like, "Oh, you're from the Geekiary, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." again, as you mentioned, that article, you weren't even expecting it, but people in the Discord knew about that
Mm-hmm.
article. They read about it. Like, oh, it's
Yeah.
cute.
Well, they had mentioned that they really liked it. I mean, the show came out in 2021, and so they were
Mhm.
like, it's really great that like a year and a half later,
It's
people are
still
still
going on.
finding the
Yeah.
show
Hmm.
and enjoying it. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, no, this is like taking over my brain. It's very bad. Um, I mean, they wouldn't think it's bad. I was like, the name of the Discord is Bad Buddy Brain Rot, and I'm like, yeah,
That's actually what's
that's
happening.
accurate because I have a very very patient coworker who sits and listens to my like she doesn't even own a television. She sits and listens to my all my
It's like,
spiels about everything.
mhm.
And I was telling her, I think last week about Bad Buddy, and I was just like, and I was like,
Mhm.
no, I was sitting in the office, and one of my other coworkers is actually in the office too, and I'm just sitting there, apropos of nothing, and I'm just like, Pat and Pran.
Who?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
like,
it's like, okay, no, I have to actually like work. Sorry.
but yeah, that was the Pride cast, which was a whole lot of queer titles you should check
Yes,
out.
yes, you should check them all out.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Oh, and if I had like, I haven't. I think I wrecked this last year because I read it. This was one of my Pride reads last year. A Marvelous Light,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
good. The second book in the trilogy came out in November. A Restless Truth,
Mhm.
also very good. The third book comes out this November. A Power Unbound. I'm very
Mhm.
excited about it. I already have the arc. I'm like, I gotta read this. It's very good. But yeah, and also I have a very long list of queer books that I want to read. So if you need reading suggestions, I got a list. I busted out my spreadsheet when I was on the book crawl today. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
what do I need? And I ended up not buying any of the ones actually on my list, and instead I bought the Heartstopper novella.
I ended up having to stop myself from buying the Heartstopper stuff. They were discounted over in the local store, a
Mm.
superstore, and I was like, "Mm, no."
Well, the comic. I mean, I do. If I really like a comic, I will buy the print when it comes in
Hmm.
print. So I have actually had the first 3 volumes of Heartstopper because every time
Hmm.
I've gone to a bookstore, they've not had volume 4. But also, if you want to read Heartstopper, you can read it for free on Webtoon.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's why I'm
Um,
like, not the
because
physical
that's what I
copy.
did. Like
I don't need it.
after I watched Heartstopper last year, I read the comic on Webtoon. But I have since bought it because, yay, support.
But yeah, a new volume is also coming out for Heartstopper, right?
Yes, volume
So
5 is
yeah,
coming.
so yeah, make that money.
It's like good for you. Good
Good
for
for
you.
you. Make that coin. Make that
Um,
coin. It's good.
oh wait, but there was something coming out. There's some webtoon that's coming out in print that I was like really excited about. Now I can't remember. I can't
Okay.
remember what
Yeah,
it is.
I was
Sorry
like,
about that.
you were like something's coming out, and I was like, Elite season 7. That's coming out this year too. I'm like, no, let it end.
That's another thing. Like, not to get really back into like Thai dramas and all that kind of stuff, but something I really like about Asian shows is that they're done when they're done. Like,
Hmm.
they might get a season 2, but it's a complete story. Um, the C dramas do that, and I think like that's a big problem with American dramas. Is
American media, they don't end it. I'm like, I would rather have complete stories lasting a season or two and having a variety of queer stories instead of just one story that's been dragging on for like 5, 6 seasons.
Yeah,
Like, just stop it. Just
or
stop it.
you have something like again 911, like which has been on season 7 is coming
Yeah,
out on ABC
just
next year.
enough.
Like, well, you have something like that. It was like, and then you have 2 characters that there's no heterosexual explanation for anything that they do, and you won't bite the bullet and just make them get, because at this point you're like, oh well, it's been 6 seasons. It's like, yeah, so you have no excuse anymore. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
just do it. Just do it. The viewership is like decreasing anyway. So just do it and end on a high, give the fandom what it wants, and just end
Like,
the show.
I'm a huge, like, I love that show. Like, you know how many times I've rewatched that show? Like, it's ridiculous. I
Mhm.
haven't seen the last 3 episodes of season 6 because I got to a point where I'm like, what are you even doing? What
Mm-hmm.
is going? What am I watching?
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only just it's not just the buddy stuff. It's Buck's storyline in
Yeah,
general.
it's like,
It's like Eddie's storyline in general. Buck had this whole sperm donor storyline this season that was
mm,
garbage,
mm,
garbage, and also the stuff like the redeeming toxic parents, because that was what I was talking about when I was like, even the queer stories are super heteronormative because you
mhm.
have something where it was like Buck's parents are terrible, Chimney's parents are terrible. Well, his dad is terrible, his mom is dead. But it was like then they do like one thing and it was like, oh no, now they're like, no, sometimes parents suck. You don't need to have a relationship with them. It's really the like the forcing the whole like, well, they're your parents. Like,
Who
so I
cares?
didn't pick them.
Yeah, they don't like me anyway. So.
Yeah. Like Chimney's dad legitimately like ignored him for like
Mhm,
30 years. And
mhm.
because he has one cute scene with his granddaughter, he's suddenly like a good person. Like, no.
No.
At least with Chimney, they acknowledged later that he was like, oh yeah, no, it's still complicated. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, it should be. Like, you don't need to talk to him. Like, and I'm sorry. I could really like I really could give a lecture on this. Like,
Right.
I have a lot of feelings about this show, and I don't write about it on the Geekiary because I was like, I don't want to do that to myself. I was like, I learned at my previous outlet that sometimes ranting about things is not a good idea. I will do it on here where it's not in writing. Anyway,
Okay. Question? We don't have a question?
now I couldn't think of one, um,
Hmm. Hmm.
but
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you can think of like, because I was like, we kind of, I mean, we already talked about stuff that's coming out this year that we're excited about, and
Yeah, that's it. I'm like, and a whole lot of stuff is coming out this year.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a
It's
good
really good.
year.
Yes, I'm trying to think of like other. And this is also too. I was like, I don't know what's coming out anymore. There's too much stuff.
There's too
Too
much,
much
too
stuff.
much. Yeah, whole lot is coming out. Yeah. Good. Good for the community.
Yes. And it's like there's too much stuff, and I was just like, oh my god, like even with like the Thai BL dramas, I'm like, where do I go from here? Like I don't know what to do next. Um, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm rewatching Bad Buddy again,
Again,
and I
it's a
do
good
want to
thing,
watch.
right? It's again a good thing. Like even like 10 years ago, we would be forced to watch certain shows just because they had queer characters in it,
Yeah,
but now we can choose.
yeah,
We can choose to watch something or not watch something.
yep.
Like,
That's what. So this is because I'm doing. Hopefully, I haven't actually applied for it yet, and I keep meaning to do that and keep forgetting. FlameCon again this year.
uh-huh.
And that was something that one of the creators brought up at FlameCon last year was that it was really great. That was like, there's so many queer comics out now
Mm-hmm.
that it was like, you don't have to read garbage just because it's queer. Like
Right.
you can actually like pick and choose the things you want to read.
And we used to do that. We used to read garbage.
Mm-hmm.
We used to
Yep.
watch garbage.
Yep. It's like, I don't like, now I can, because a lot of the, I mean, most of the books I read are queer now, and I can be like, I'm like, before I'd be like, okay, it's not that great, but it's gay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least it's gay. And I was like, now I can be like, yeah, you can do better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no. I've been disappointed with several of the books that I've read lately. And I actually, again, like we were ending this webcast and I'm going to go on this thing. So, In the Lives of Puppets is a book that I reviewed.
Yeah,
It's
you
by
did
TJ
recently.
Klune. I
Yeah.
love TJ Klune's books. House on the Cerulean Sea was a Pride Reads that I did in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Under the Whispering Door is fantastic. I did not care for In the Lives of Puppets. It was okay, but like not my favorite. And I actually had a comment on there that I was
Mm-hmm.
going to respond to, but I ended up not because I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't want to get into an
Yeah,
argument. 'Cause
yeah,
my whole thing was,
I read
yeah.
that comment. Yeah.
yeah, because the main character, and I was like, it's a valid point, but like the main character of In the Lives of Puppets is Ace,
Mhm.
which fantastic. He is also literally the only human being on the planet. So it's just one of those where it was like, I mean, which is what I was talking about before. I was like, it's very hard to prove a negative.
Mhm.
I'm like, if you're never around people, like, it's just one of these things where I was like, I know it's like that you don't choose it. That's how you're born. So he'd be Ace regardless. But it's also just one of these things where it just seemed like a really big cop out to me
Mhm.
to make him Ace when he's the only freaking person on the planet. Like bothered me. I was like, I want to have ace characters where it was like they can actually like they interact with people, and it just it
And
really
still
bothered
be
me.
Ace, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
still be Ace. Like,
yeah.
okay.
And it also bothered me that I was like, he ends up in a relationship with like the only non-family like member that like thing. I'm just like, okay, so like this is the only person outside of your family unit that you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you're in love. It's one of those
Yep.
things where I'm like, it's one of the things that bothers me about like,
It's like Ariel. You just met Eric.
yeah,
You just met him.
yeah,
There's no other human you've met.
yeah. It's just stuff like that, and I'm like, it doesn't make it bad. And I was like, so, and the comment was, and like, it's a valid point. That it was like it's a cishet thing to say. It was like, well, how do you know if you haven't done this? And I'm like,
Yeah.
but it's like you're not ace because of your environment,
Mm-hmm.
but at least in my experience, the environment is what made me discover
Realize that you were that's your point. Like in an environment that we live in that's like so sex driven in a way, from the commercials to the movies to everything to songs, like realizing that you're ace in spite of the environment, like that's a more interesting story and more relatable to a lot of people out there, instead of being just a single human and being like, hey, I'm the only human alive, I'm Ace. I'm like, well,
in the like the comment had brought up that they thought there was enough evidence that he'd been exposed to it and didn't like it, and I'm like, I disagree with that. Mm-hmm. Like the whole there, like I did say in my review, I was like, there is an explanation. I personally didn't think it was enough, and because it was basically like he sees porn like once and like doesn't like it. Okay. And that's basically like.
So that makes you ace?
That, yeah, and I was like, there's a lot of people that don't like porn.
A lot of sexually active people don't like watching porn.
Yeah.
Like,
because I was like, being uncomfortable watching it doesn't make you asexual. Like, yeah. Okay. Although I will say that I was like, I mean, I'm uncomfortable watching it, but that's because I'm sex repulsed and not because.
Right. So, as being sex repulsed, that's a different thing.
Although, well, actually, I've never seen porn, so I actually don't know. But I was like, I do get uncomfortable in certain, like in movies when there's some, like not all of them, but there's definitely like some sex scenes that I'm like, okay, maybe step back a bit. Like,
okay, red, like, blue, white, and green. That movie needs to deliver.
But I was going somewhere with that. Oh yeah, well, because I've never seen porn, but it was like that was the but it's just one of these where I was like, I'm speaking this at like, it's not my experiences are not universal, but I'm like, in my experience, like reading that, like that was something that bothered me, being asexual, that I'm just like, it seems very much like an easy way out to have queer and TJ Klune is ace, so I'm like, he probably doesn't feel that way, obviously, because he wrote the book. But I do, and it's the same way that like one of the books I read for Pride Reads in 2019, the main character's ace, because I had to go online and ask. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do like Ask a Librarian on Book Twitter, and most of the books I was reading were the characters were gay or bi. So I was like, I need to read some like other members of the alphabet mafia
from the spectrum here.
So I was like, I read a book with a trans character, and then I read a book with an ace character, and that book also bothered me. I mean, I appreciated that, like a big part of her thing was that she was sick of people asking her about it, because it does get very like it's very repetitive to explain. It's like, and it can get very invasive. Like I've definitely had friends be like, well, what about this? What about this? And I'm like, am I grilling you about your sex life? Shut up. But what bothered me about that is that she'd had a bad experience with a previous relationship where it was like her being ace was like a big thing. And so in the next one, she didn't bring it up. And I'm like, no, you need to talk about it. Like, you can't just not, because I mean, apparently sex is important for some people, and like if you're not going to be having it, that's a conversation that you need to be
You
having
need to
fairly
have
early in the relationship.
before even starting a relationship. You
Yeah.
need to have that conversation.
Yeah, that needs to be like PS. Like
Yeah.
with me, it's theoretical. Like, because I was like, right now I just identify as ace, but I was like, I've also never really dated anybody.
Mhm.
So like maybe at some point in the relationship, but
Who knows?
it's gonna have to be like
some ace people get married, have kids.
yeah, because
Some
it's
of
like
them
it's a
do.
spectrum. Well, because
Yeah.
it was like the idea is that it's not like we're not incapable of it. We just
Mhm.
don't have the
Wanna
attraction.
do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But also at the same time, I was like, it's a spectrum like everything else, you know. So it's like there, you know. So for me, it's like it's all theoretical. Like never really, I don't really date, so like I've never been in the position where it would need to be a thing that I bring up. But I feel like that would be something that you would
You need
have
to.
to
You
introduce.
need
Yeah,
to bring it up.
like when you're I think before you enter, like if you're just beginning to date, like I'm not gonna drop it on the first date, but like I know there are societal expectations of, and well, that's another thing. I could
Hey,
have a whole
sometimes you have to drop it on the first date because
Yeah.
some people be expecting, you know what, on after
Yeah.
the first date you have to.
Which
Yeah.
that's a thing because like even not being ace, that's a thing that I was like. I actually have somebody I went to high school with has this whole. She's a sex counselor, and she has a whole thing about purity culture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's this side. Well, and there's a whole bunch, especially for women, like bunch of double standards because it's like the idea is that it was like, oh, if you have sex too early in the relationship, you're a slut. But if you wait too long, then you're a tease.
Tease,
And it's just like maybe just like
and it all comes back to what the man thinks of you. And
Yeah.
I'm like, again, it's all like focus on the man. Does he consider you a slut or does he consider you a tease? You need to make him feel comfortable. And I'm like, okay,
no, why can't he make me feel comfortable?
Right? Why can't he do that?
But also,
Why can't
that's
he
the
do
thing. I
that?
mean, if you want to get into the patriarchy and all that kind of stuff, that it was like men also have the ability, like you don't have to sleep with someone on the first date if you don't want to. Like that's the thing. You can wait.
You have a choice too.
Yeah, everybody does. Consent is a big thing. Consent is a big thing in Bad Buddy, by the way. I just want to point that out. To bring that back around.
Right?
Anyway, we should probably end
We need to end this.
We told ourselves before we went live that we were gonna
Jamie,
gonna rein ourselves
people
in.
watching this, they didn't consent to all of this because we have derailed.
We really have. I mean, it's all been semi. We didn't really. That was the thing. I was like, we didn't really
they
have.
didn't consent to it. They were like,
didn't
"What
really
the
have
heck
a
are these two
structured
talking
discussion.
about?"
I was trying to think. I was like, how can we have a structured discussion? And I was like, I don't think we're going to.
Oh,
The
we
two of us
never do.
can't, no. Even if I'd had discussion points, we would have gone all over. But it was
never
like,
do.
all right. So okay, we're just gonna wrap this up now. Let me load this. I gotta load. Okay. So I'm Jamie along with Fareed. Thank you again for joining us for Feelings with the Geekiary. Remember that we are a free webcast run off of donations from viewers like you. Thanks for contributing and helping our host site, the Geekiary. See you next time.
Peace.